This is Harvey's finance meeting.
Nope, this is the cow meeting.
I mean, well, this finance portion of it.
Nope,
Hmm.
nope.
Wait a minute, let me see that. 'Cause that's
This
what she
is the
said.
cow meeting.
Committee
so
of
it's
the whole?
a budget discussion will be had. This is the cow meeting.
But they talking about the finances. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
No, so it will be a budget discussion.
Right. They talking about the finances.
That don't mean they talking about the finance. It means a budget discussion. It could be about anything.
What we gonna see? They better be talking
In
about
regards
the
to the
finance.
budget, could be allocations or whatever.
I just want to see whatever they talking about when it comes to money. I want to see it.
And remember, the guy to watch and ask questions of is in the classes. That's the virtual. He knows where all the money is.
Of course.
He can answer all of your questions.
But he's not going to. We already know he's on.
We are having a committee of the whole meeting before the regular meeting. And we're gonna have a budget discussion. It's what the agenda says. The agenda says that we're gonna have a budget discussion. Extra microphone. Like being underwater. Okay, y'all hear me better now? I thought this mic off. Sound? Now, no sound. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, hold on. Okay, let me see. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me? The sound of silence. Can you hear me? No, I should never turn this thing on. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. This microphone is screwed up my whole live. Stop.
Raheem will, it'll give a raise. Push it up so much.
The key word there is I love Raheem. Where is he?
That was a good selling point, wasn't
It was. You got me. You got me.
halfway there.
You got me. You got me. If I didn't like you so much, I might.
Hey everybody.
Where's Raheem? Is he here?
This is the finance portion special meeting.
Anywho.
So hey,
I
how
ain't
you
scared.
doing?
Okay. Let me try to see. No. I'm so sick of this. Girl, they called me all up, God.
What?
Now he called my name like we funny.
Girl.
I'm dead.
You know, when you're running for something, everybody is your friend.
Okay, girl, that's what I tell you earlier today.
Girl, listen.
What I say?
I
I
cannot
said,
wait.
trust nobody.
Nobody.
Nah, ain't no one.
Nobody, baby. My Keith Swift's voice. What she say?
I'll have all the older persons sign.
Oh,
Did everybody sign?
that's hot, yeah. It feel real good today, though. I'm so glad the weather changed.
Yeah.
That is a very nice day.
I guess I'll fix. Okay, y'all tell me if I fix the sound, cause maybe they said the microphone sound like it's underwater. the one that I'm doing. I didn't test it. I need to test it.
I tested mine the last time.
I need to test it.
The sound came out decent. But see, mine syncs to my my phone already, so I already know that it works.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't have to like do a. I already did a test run before.
Okay, can y'all hear me now? Tell me y'all hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Walk away,
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
but walk away like over there.
Let me tell y'all. That meeting is running progress. Ass meetings ain't gonna go over. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Everybody is coming. Everybody gets started.
Put some lotion on my ass.
This how far back we are. Let me see. Let me get the child's close so I can get you. What the hell? That's what I said. I said, what the hell? What the hell is Monte? What the hell he on?
My son hate that song when I sing it. He likes the song, but he hate when mama sing it.
Pete.
Where's your mic? Where's your mic at?
I put it back in here.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my sound.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Thank you, Mom. Girl, you can't have that. Get a chair out, please.
So everyone, this is just the finance portion. This is not the regularly scheduled board meeting. Just in case y'all want to know. I already see the sound.
This is the city of Hardy meeting of the whole for Monday, August 25th, 2025. Time is 6:13 p.m. If all council members would mark themselves as being present. We have a quorum, so we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is invocation of pledge of allegiance. Deacon, would you please be so kind?
Thank you, yes. We bow our heads to petition the throne of grace. Gracious Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for our comings and our goings. We thank you, Lord, for every resident that's represented here under the sound of my voice. We thank you for the great city of Harvey. And we thank you, Lord, that you will give us the wisdom and the knowledge that we can make the appropriate decisions on behalf of the people that we took an oath for. Lord Jesus, we love this city and we know that you love us. You love us when we didn't deserve your love, but in spite of everything, it was by your grace and mercy, Lord, that we're delivered here. You said in your word, Lord, that we can do all things if we look to the hills and we obey. So, Lord, we're here to stand still, trust, and obey in your
Next item on the agenda is actually number 4, which is budget discussion. This will be led by our comptroller, Louis Williams. Mr. Williams, floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Alderman, city officials, citizens. First, I apologize for this budget proposal not being sent out on Friday. But the purpose of this meeting is just an introductory meeting to go over where we stand as a city and where we project ourselves to be for the fiscal year, which ends on April 30th, 2026. And I understand you're just getting it, so if there are questions, I would appreciate if you would email me, but actually reply to an email. So if you have questions, the other elected officials are aware of those questions, so I can respond to everyone that might have a similar question. But I certainly will entertain questions.
But we won't be responding to everyone because doing so could be put us in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
So I respond to emails and everyone.
Yes, that would possibly put us in violation of Open Meetings Act.
Because he can't answer everybody's question, because it'll take too much time.
If there is a question, they can individually, first of all, if there is a question, I would prefer that it be on the floor.
No, they
That's
set
number
the
one,
stage.
so that the alderman here and also
Yeah, that's it.
the residents. But in addition to that, if anyone has any individualized questions following, tonight's meeting, then you can feel free to reach out individually. Please CC me in to those questions so that I can get where they've been sent and make sure that they get the proper response. No, this is not for audience, this is for the council. Not at this particular point in time.
It will be posted, however.
Yeah, it is, and it'll be posted, and right now it's a working document, so we're not providing it to the public at this point. Continue on.
Our city budget is a pretty complex item. Unfortunately, over my last 4 or so years, I've worked with Harvey. It's become very familiar to me. The numbers really don't change very much. So I would direct everybody, obviously, page 1 starts, and the page number's on the far left side of the corner. Page 1 starts with the budget proposal. I apologize for those headings, not for their headings, so they should repeat themselves. So basically, the columns are the 23-24 budget, the 23-24 amended budget, the 24-25 budget, the 24-25 activity, the 25-26 recommended budget. Okay? Now, if you flip to page 2, you show estimated revenues. And I want everyone to take note of the estimated revenues. It's basically 27 to 29 billion in all the columns. And when you look at the various categories on page 1 and page 2, you won't see very much fluctuation between the revenue numbers. And that's the nature of municipal government. The city has held fast on not raising real estate taxes. I've never raised real estate taxes in the decade plus that I've been here, because I realized that the real estate burden, and administrations have realized that the real estate burdens have been too heavy on the citizens, and that's probably the largest number. If you look at the budget, you'll see real estate taxes estimated at $10 billion. The growth you see is the natural growth, and from TIFs expired, is the only reason you see it goes up very low from $9.2 million to $10 million. And if you look at it, there are no other 8-figure numbers as an entire revenue source. Real estate taxes are our largest source of revenue in the city. I'll tell you, like now real estate taxes don't go out on July 1st, be paid on April 1st, it puts a strain on the city. So all the other items, if you look at going across, there's not a lot of fluctuation over the last fiscal year, nor we projecting much in the way of change. Okay? So that's general fund revenue, roughly $30 million a year. That's what we collect. Okay? I've been with direct you, and we'll go through some of the categories. I've been with direct you to page 8. Page 8, up toward the top, which is net revenues and appropriations. The appropriations, you will see, vary from 30 million to this year being 35 million for the general fund. Again, that's what happens with the city in terms of revenue. And I'll tell you, the budgeting process is pretty straightforward because if you add up the salary lines in the budget, that makes up about 80% of the entire budget. Because that's the nature of it. We're in a service business, so therefore salaries, I say 80% is salaries, fringe benefits, payroll taxes, and pension contributions. All add up to that large of an amount. So that's what we're dealing with. But we're basically a service business. If you add in the cost of refuge, you add in legal fees, you add in insurance, that basically encompasses 95 to 98% of the budget. So there's not a lot of flexibility in terms of the city. Now, the mayor has said it, every mayor says it, the way we grow out of our deficits and things like that is to literally grow economically. That is to get the people who only pay us less than 55% of their real estate taxes to pay their real estate taxes. The other is for us to bring businesses in to take over some of the vacant parcels of land, to pay us taxes, and all that has to do with just the overall economic development of the city. Now, the next major category that really takes in and really supports the city was how does the general fund have a deficit like it? How does it sustain? Well, part of it is the other things that go to support the general fund in terms of revenue and expenditures. And that's when you look at page 9, which is, page 9 shows the sewer fund, which is a separate fund where it shows the sewer fund, the sewer taxes you pay, where we use those funds to make repairs and stuff to the sewer system. And I know everybody's concerned about flooding and things like that, but what the sewer system does, it works in conjunction with the Metropolitan Sanitary District. All those big projects you hear about, that eases the pressure on us in the sewer system that allows it to operate. The other fund I forgot was another major fund, and that is the motor fuel tax. That's what the motor fuel taxes you pay to the state. Part of that comes back to the city based on our population. That's on page 8. And the motor fuel shows that we basically, that helps underwrite some of our salaries, that's underwrite utilities, so the motor fuel fund pays for all the street lighting throughout the city and things like that. The next major fund really is Fund 14. It starts on page 9, and that's the debt service. And when you look at the debt service fund, last year it shows a deficit of $414,000. And this year it shows a surplus of 1.6. That's timing. Sometimes we collect real estate taxes, and the taxes are not due to the bondholders until after the next fiscal year. So we always have that transition. But again, I would say about the bonds, he has no bonds in default. This is all current bonds. The only bonds, but there are 2 sets of bonds outstanding. Only one set in the general fund. Those are the bonds that were issued in August of 20, and that was the basic refinance bonds that were issued long before I was here in 2002 and 2006, long before some of the people here in town were born. But those bonds did get refinanced, but they will be paid off over time. The next big fund is on page 10, and that's the water fund. And the water fund shows a surplus of about $1.4 million. People say, well, why are we making money out of citizens? The water fund has debts that it must pay from prior years. I remind people that Harvey has some of the lowest water rates in the South suburbs. We buy water directly from the city of Chicago, and Harvey has not raised its water fund just over years. I know that, I can look at it. Harvey hasn't raised its water funds at the speed that Chicago does. So when you see a water bill increase each year, the city of Chicago, who we buy our water from, increases water by the CPI, Consumer Price Index. And we pass those on late because we have to. But the city of Harvey has never passed on all of those increases, nor has it ever raised water rates in excess of what the city of Harvey has been charged by the city of Chicago in terms of the rates. The other funds are just the TIP funds, and we only actually have 3 active TIPs now. That's on page, look on page 11, 12, part of the 13 notes it's TIPs. The TIPs aren't collecting a lot of taxes. Now, the biggest TIPs expire. What happens when those TIPs expire, the real estate taxes that used to go into those TIPs, because I understand what happens in the TIP. The real estate taxes, the increase in real estate taxes once the city issues all those funds go into fund developments and stuff, like McDonald's was a TIP, the car wash is part of the TIP. There have been a number of TIPs for Allied, that was part of that TIP. The Center Street TIP was the largest TIP we had, and that one has expired. So overall, when you look at the budget on page 14, it showed last year that we were looking at a projected deficit of $7.8 million. And you say, oh, how would we ever get past that? Again, it's the timing thing. So on the 154th Street project, when the street was redone, it was basically a federal grant that we matched certain money out of the motor fuel tax fund. But those taxes that we covered the deficit on that project, for motor fuel taxes we had received over the last 5 years, they were restricted for major road projects. So in other words, we couldn't just spend that money. So when they were spent this year, you don't have the revenue because the revenue is all in deferred revenue. So, it's not showing up here. And the same thing is true with the bonds. We paid out in the bond sector, if you look at Fund 14, we paid out about $3 million more in bonds expenses than we had in revenue, but that's because the cash is sitting in the bank. And so those are things that happen just from a timing standpoint. And also, when you look at the deficit, we invested about $700,000 in the crime center, which is about to come online. Those are called capital expenditures, but for budgetary purposes, they show up as expenditures. But those are things that are capitalized. So when the audits finally come around, when we have the audits done, the deficit for the city should be somewhere about $1 million to $1 million. When we look at this year's budget, overall budget deficit across all the funds, I projected a deficit of a little less than $1 million. That could change because I know the 100, what's the new road project, which street are we doing next?
150 is what's on the agenda.
Right.
That's
That's on the agenda, but that'll be something that we'll have to plan for going forward. Okay? I'll let you guys still be throwing a bunch of numbers at you, but it always meets like measurements going to the mid-hours, just seems like numbers. So if there are any questions on that, I'm certainly entertaining.
Hold on a second. I want to make sure that the citizens understand exactly what's going on here. So this is a budget discussion. We are not taking a vote on the budget at this particular point in time. We will not be taking a vote in the next meeting. That's number one. Number two, there will be plenty of time for everyone to review what's being proposed on the budget once we have that all finalized and get that published for the public to see. So while there is no real need for anyone to run off and say, well, we're trying to do this in secret, that's not what we're doing. This is just a discussion at this particular moment, and all of that information will be provided to the public. It has to be, or we can't vote on it. Am I correct about that, Mr. Williams?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has to be provided to the public, or we can't vote on it. And there's enough people that either watch what we're doing, one way or another, that would love to say, we're not following the rules. So we are following the rules, and we're gonna continue to do so. But I just don't want people to start getting anxious about it, because this is just our first discussion as far as that's concerned.
Mayor, if I can add one more thing.
Yes.
When we talk about the deficit that Harvey operates with over the years, especially like the last 8 years, literally, our deficits are being driven by our pension liabilities. Basically, have come home to roost. Pensions were funded, not just in Harvey, but across Illinois. When you ever talk about the humongous pension debt the state has, the humongous pension debt that the federal government has. To give you an example, we're paying out right now on the fire pension fund for the arrears about $5 million a year. That's what we're paying out based on a court settlement agreement. Now, that's what we're paying out, but I'll tell you, that's $5 million a year. So when we look at our deficits and say we run $1 million deficit, but if we didn't have that pension liability, we'd have a $4 million surplus. The problem is that it wasn't properly funded over time. And if we talk about, and that would be entirely true, because that's called normal cost of pension. That assumes in some happy-go-lucky world that Harvey had always funded his fire pension and police pension correctly. That's called normal cost. The normal cost for the fire and police pension together would be less than $2 million, not the $6 million we're paying right now. So it would literally be not quite party time, but obviously if we have $4 million worth of surplus, then obviously we could repair a lot more streets, we could provide a lot more services, and we wouldn't have to work with the skeleton crew of employees that the city operates with most of the time.
Chair recognizes the fourth report.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Comptroller. I just got a couple of questions that I have had since we just received, this packet of the budget proposal. When it comes to the street department, we just recently had, layoffs, and we see the impact with the storm and everything that happened. Does it show anything on the budget that we're going to be doing any more hiring starting January, or for the 26 budget, getting more employees back in here, back in there where they need to be?
The current budget reflects part of that reduction, but not all of it. In terms of will we hiring more people, that's a question that's probably best addressed by the mayor.
Okay. When it comes to alderman expenses, for record, speaking for myself, basically, I can't speak for anybody else, but if I ever received any alderman expenses this year at all, we allocated for $25,000. I haven't received anything since last year. Is that money already budgeted into next year, meaning that this year I'm not going to get anything?
We continue to budget for all that expenses.
Can you break that down for me? Can you elaborate a little more?
We had budgeted this year, again, trying to be a little bit more austere and stuff. The announced budget for all in fiscal 26 has been reduced from 25,000 to 20. That same cut was done to the mayor's automatic expenses.
Okay.
Just because we're trying to hold on to more employees.
Okay, well that's fine. But I think that should kind of be notated a little bit more, broken down, because it don't matter if it's went from 25 to 20. I still ain't got nothing. So I don't know what impact does that make on my ordering expenses going to the city. And what I'm saying, will they help either to hire one or two more persons or anything?
If they work like
Okay, they haven't been received. Can you just break it down? Am I gonna get my money or what?
Again, those, I submit expenses for approval, then the decisions made based on the payments we have every month, it gets paid out. So that's one thing, again, I suggest you direct the mayor and staff.
To be clear, because we've had this conversation, and I just for the audience to understand, I did have this conversation with Alderman Key prior to this meeting, and I explained to him the fact that this, at the time when we took over, the city was 164 million in debt. We've reduced that from what I understand to 149 million, if I'm correct, somewhere around there.
Actually, a little less.
Okay, and so what you have to do is, it's just like in your family or in your business or whatever it is, you have to basically set priorities for your organization.
But if everybody else
So
get
in
money,
this
you
particular
have to
case,
think
you
that
said,
you-
I've set a priority, and yes, that falls on the mayor's office. So if Alderman's not getting what they want to get, yeah, it falls on this office right here. However, it is a matter of priority. And so, as some of you know, I donated $25,000 to the city of Harvey.
What does that do?
I haven't received that money back either.
You never asked.
In addition to other monies that I haven't received back, but neither have I received it, but all the persons who have spent money and submitted, receipts haven't received theirs as well. But we continue to do our jobs. We understand that the city has a financial challenge, which is one of the reasons why we're looking at these numbers in red right now, is because of the financial challenges that we have. Now, of course, there are some who will suggest, well, if we don't have money, then why are we doing this? If we don't have money, then why we got a new television? As if a television is going to make a $49 million budget. But the simple fact is, when it comes to the automatic expenses, we have a priority right now, and we're trying to pay our other vendors first. And we're also trying to pay our payroll for our employees first. And so that's the way we're handling that. So I just wanted to make that clear. Oh, yes, yes, sir.
I understand where you come from, but it's, just letting the audience know, there's a difference between not getting what you expected to receive, opposed to not getting nothing at all.
Absolutely.
That's my point right there. Can you explain why I haven't received nothing at all? This storm, I have got out here, and I've been doing this for years, just like the mayor sacrificed, I've been sacrificing too. I worked down in the planning department when I first got working for the city of Harvard, making $9.50 an hour. 5 hours, I would stay all day, volunteer, became alderman. I think I get like $20,000 in my savings account. Spent it all going back to the city. But did I complain? No, because I wanted the opportunity. And now I'm sitting here when the storm hits. I actually was in Wisconsin when that storm came. It came through Wisconsin, headed towards Harvey. I got up there next morning and came back to my city. Checked out the room and did that for the city. But that's just something that I choose to do. But nevertheless, I came out here, I had my trailer, I took like 4 loads of trees and branches that was in the street, up to the street department, asked for permission. I don't know why I had to ask for permission to get permission to drop off leaves that's all in the street. But I did, and they get paid a dime. When I dedicate myself, why is it that whatever point we can pay everybody else, but you don't get everybody that's out here helping, breaking their back, busting their back, you don't get them nothing? And don't put nothing in the budget? Explain that. But you're not going to stop my city because I love my city and I love my residents. But I can't go broke. But I'm about almost there. You know, I'm going from paycheck to paycheck, and I started as alderman with a nice bank account. But I still care, but these things have to be breaking on down. And this list that you gave right here, If we can't ask the questions that we want, we can't have everything clear, and we just got it today, we shouldn't even be talking about it. Thank you.
Drops the mic.
Thank you. And once again, this is a discussion, it is not a vote. So that's the whole point of discussion. As far as, let me make this clear.
Choose your words wisely. Choose them wisely.
Just one more question.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know, am I the only alderman that hasn't received anything for this past 4 years? I've been here 7, but I'm just gonna say 4. Am I the only alderman that haven't received anything in that time? Am I the only person?
No, there's some aldermen that have never submitted anything in their multiple terms, did not receive anything.
Okay, we have a point of order. Chair recognizes the second ward.
Testing. Comptroller, back on Monday, June 22nd of 2024, we took a vote, and at that time, both my expenses as well as Alderman Key's expenses were presented. And on that same day, we both voted no. Because I don't believe in voting for my support that's not been the same support throughout. We've always voted for, I personally have always voted no to bills list because we need the proof. We need to see the purchase orders. We need to understand and directly, you personally know that I've yet to receive $1. So right now, the second ward is sitting on about $50,000 that has been allocated for them. And when we think about beautification efforts, when we think about layoffs, when we think about curbing violence by employing our young people, I was able to employ 5 young people in our office. But again, that's all out of my support personally. And so to have that strategic and collaborative approach to the dollar, because the dollars are actually the taxpayers' dollars. I too wonder how in which we're best addressing our fiscal financial management. Right now, even today, we have penalties skyrocketing with the city of Chicago and a grand total today of $47,099. And those are just 3 line items that are due back to the city of Chicago water penalties. And so I asked, as we're projecting what a 2026 budget looks like, what safeguards do we have in place that we can use from what we've learned here in the 2025 or 2024-2025 fiscal year to move the city forward in the best fiscal way. In 1 month, we spent about $42,000 on special events. And in the city that, Alderman Key just spoke to it, but I'll tell you, on 155th Street in the second ward, there are a multitude of down branches, wires, debris, there's an overhaul. And I was just told that there are about 9 people that are working in public works. So I guess my question is a swarm of things because everything is based on us and our economic engine. We can't flourish in a city that has no money. And so we often hear about that $149 million deficit. Where exactly does that stand? Or what, even from the 2025 year, I haven't heard what projected revenue we've actually even collected so far. Or even the settlement agreement that we currently have out to retrieve monies for those that are operating here. How much of that money have we received? That started last year, so we should have some projections into that for the 2026 year. But we have so many different expenditures and line items for things that I don't know if they're doing the best support of the city. And even before we even talk about the expenditures or the spending, for a time now, residents have questioned or requested that the budget or anything dealing with the financial landscape of the city of Marvin be posted on the website. And today, we haven't done that.
And so in order for true fidelity and understanding, because we're sitting here discussing numbers, unfortunately, the audience has no understanding of what we're doing. Even when we're referring to what's been amended, what's actual, there's still no real, true fidelity or transparency, because it would take a time, and we meet before 7 o'clock to even address the many questions that would be, here, especially even going back to our TIP fund or our class AAs. There's just so many different things, and so I ask that even council, that before we even move forward with the budget, we need like another budget town hall, we need another finance discussion. We actually need this handout to be provided on the table so that everybody can see it at large, or to cut costs, show everybody how to access it via a QR code to access the website. But we need something that provides a real lens, because even as a Microsoft Excel, I'd like to think I'm an intermediate, we need the ledger with the labels to fully state that on each page so that we can thoroughly identify what you're speaking to from amended in 2023, 2024 to activity, back to amended, just to even follow along with the document. And so these are just some overall recommendations. There are several questions, but before I can even really understand and dive into this, we need every resident here to have a copy of this, so they know how their money's are being spent, especially with $149 million debt and over 38 people being recently laid off. Thank you, Comptroller. Thank you.
So, once again, like I said, this is a working document. And as a working document, it will not be provided to the public. Of course, I know somebody will put it on Facebook anyway, but the bottom line is, it's a working document. And at the point in time that we have to actually post the actual document, we will do so. The chairperson, the chair recognizes the fifth, and I want to get to the sixth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the residents that are here today. Thank you, Mr. Williams. I just wanted to say, I know that everyone in here, or at least all the residents here, you can pretty much run your particular office the way you choose to. I, for one, don't use the expense account. And it's because even if I was handed $25,000 and allowed to use it in the fair, it still wouldn't be enough money to address the issues in the fair.
What?
I've always personally felt that it was a better use and better respect for the tax dollars that we do have here to allow those funds to be used across the city wherever needed. Secondly, I think you can do more with less. I think we've proven that. And that's to say that, yes, and there's some residents in here who will tell you, the street department has done a fantastic job of showing up. Now, don't get me wrong, it may not be as fast as you want it, but they're there, and they do a great job with what they do. I, for one, think that it's better to allow you to do that job than for any of us to go around and cut grass or anything of the likes. I know that's how it was done with the previous administrations, but I think we need to let them do the job. And that we need to kind of take that into account on what we're also doing with the tax dollars, or what we're demanding of our tax dollars. And again, I would say I think it's better suited to be used across the city where needed. I don't intend to patch up holes in the street. I don't intend to cut down trees. I don't intend to demo buildings. None of us can do that.
What's your point?
So, I don't know if it's to throw a block party or
What?
whatever it may be that you want to spend the money on. I only did one back to school event since being elected. And again, it's because I realized we need to all work together.
Now you're right.
This will never make sense to me that every time it's time to go back to school, you got 6 aldermen going 6 different book bag giveaway, on top of the fact that we want one right here in the city of Harlem that we all could come to. We encourage our residents to come to. Why are we doing that? I'll tell you what we can't do. We can't stand divided. That is a clear sign of division. Thanksgiving, everybody getting away churches. When they doing it right here in City Hall. Makes no sense to me.
It does.
If we really want to talk about budget, we really want to talk about ways to improve upon the city, we need to first learn that it's better that we do it together.
Well, we can. So, we can.
A lot of it sometimes it sounds like personal agendas.
It is.
I'm not with it.
Well, that's fine.
You can keep the words things.
Okay.
Just keep showing up and taking care of these pockets, taking care of these vacant lots, taking care of potholes, and you don't have a problem. You keep the words things. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the 6th Ward.
Thank you. I'm on the top of Rogers of Grade 6 Ward, and I've heard some things here today, and some were pretty accurate and some were pretty disturbing. For number one, I recently had, what was it, August 18th? School supply, I didn't give away one book bag, I gave away school supplies and toys, bubbles, and all kinds of stuff for the elementary kids. I adopted Brand Elementary School. One of the things that I'm very strong about is transparency, and I want my people to see me every day. And you see me every day. If I'm riding, or you can ride by my house, either way, you can see me every day. If you got any questions or concerns, I want you to get out. I want you to, everybody in the 6th Ward has my phone number. I make it a point. Little bit you got to call a smartphone. You'll never get a voicemail. But the point I really want to make is about education. Mr. Lewis, you can probably attest to what I'm about to say. That there's 2 cities in the entire state of Illinois that were put under court order that they had to pay police pension and fireman's pension. You didn't get an option. You were going to be held in contempt of court if you did. And those 2 cities just happen to be African American communities. And one was East St. Louis, Illinois, and the other one was Hartford. That's right, we were put under the court order that we had to pay into the pension. I think that this administration has done a marvelous job as far as getting our bond rating and everything back up to somewhat standards to where we're trying to get to. It gets to a point where we can't even afford, as a poverty-stricken community, to buy asphalt or plywood. You say you got abandoned houses. Well, why don't you board them up? Well, plywood is expensive. Why don't we tear it down? To demolish a house is expensive. And there's so many intricate variables that go into that. I believe in educating my people. And I talk to them every day, and they want to know, well, what can we do about these tree branches about to fall on my car? And what can we do about reinitiating the 50-50 program for sidewalks? What are we going to do about street lights? I'm afraid my wife coming in at night from work, something tragic that happened. Well, we're working. We did not dig this hole in a 4 or 5 year period of time. It took over almost 20 years. It wasn't with just the last administration. It was the administration before that. We lost valuable city equipment. We used to have a couple of street sweepers. It saddens me when I go through Riverdale and I see a smaller community and they got street sweepers and we don't have it. Because they were stolen or sold off for scrap. I tell my people all the time, this is not Tinley Park, this is not Orland Park, this is not Oak Forest. You love this community the way you say you do, what we have to do is come together initially, dig down deep. If you you got tall grass next door to you, and you're waiting on the street department to come and cut it, they're doing the best they can do, what they have to work with. But it may not happen. Dig in your pocket, get out a few more dollars, and the landscaper that does your yard, pay them to do that yard. Now, you say, I'm not gonna do that, I'm a taxpayer. This is what I pay my taxes for. But these are unique situations that we're in right now. Mr. Excuse me, please don't. No. Yeah, I won't interrupt anybody. I'll stay quiet. Do not interrupt me, please. So, with that being said, we have to let our people know, right, yes, we inherited $164,700,000 in 2019. Okay, since then, it's been reduced. According to Channel 2 News, it's down to $149,000 now over the 5-year tenure. What's gonna happen in the next 5 years? Maybe we can reduce another $20 to $25 million. But the fact of the matter is that we did not dig this hole, but we're forced to dig our way out of this hole. Okay, and we have to work collectively as residents, as community-minded people, and stakeholders if we want our community to flourish again. A TV set or a hot dog giveaway is not gonna increase our budget. Okay, let's just get that straight. What we need though is more advocacy amongst the residents, and everybody needs to come together. Now, I have a legitimate question, and what it is, Mr. Lewis is directed, how many TIFs has expired in the past year from 2025 to 2026?
He can
The
answer.
number was just expired probably about 4 years ago. The latest thing, the Center Street TIF is the last one that expired. The active TIFs now, Transit Authority District, Dixon Sibling, Dixon Highway, the ARCO TIF, which was a very small TIF, only ones that are still active. The Center Street was the largest TIF in the city. That covered the south end of the city by the interstate. That TIF expired.
That is right. Okay.
I just want to add one thing, not to respond to every question, because prior to time from the one thing I do want to address is the concept of we don't see bills, we don't see purchase orders. Finance department, Harvard, we don't make any bills. Yeah, we get some paper from upstairs, we run off copies and things like that. I guess technically the software that the city maintains license to be on, we use that software. But we don't make bills. One thing I want to make clear that everyone, they say, well, we don't see the receipts. But guess what? Finance department sees every receipt. And it's not just a matter of we pay every receipt that comes to us. But every receipt is accompanied by a requisition and the approval of a department head. And those expenditures exceed certain levels, and again, depending on the department, obviously, the public works probably has larger expenses when you think about refuge collection and things like that. But every other department, they have sign-offs. The department head sign off on that. The city administrator has to sign off on invoices over a certain amount. And in some cases, the mayor has to sign off on others. So this idea that we willingly pay bills, whoever we want to pay, I don't have that kind of authority, and my integrity is a lot higher than that. So if there's not documentation for it, again, what happens? If there's no documentation for an invoice, let me assure you this. We're behind in the audits, but I've been here through 10 audits. And not one audit has said we lack documentation. So stop that myth, it doesn't happen.
Okay, Mr. Lewis is staying on track. Could you expound on the capital two expenditures, and you said we pay that into the general fund, can you expound on that? Whether they get
Like my capital fitness budget.
Yes.
We'll clean that out. We need to go through and figure out what the large grants. It's basically, the capital expenditures here, for the most part, are paid to do grants. We get grants from the federal government, we get grants from State Department of Economic Development, things like that. Those are the people that pay, those are offsets. So we get money, for instance, last fiscal year, we got money for 5 trucks in FEMA. So you'll see in the fire department, under vehicle purchases, you'll see $513,000. So 80,000 of that, about 80,000 of that came from Hardy's general fund, and the remaining part came from the FEMA grant. So that's what happens, and that's what's allowed us, and I would tell you, my history in Harvey is long. I would tell you, we've got more grants in the last 2 or 3 years than we have probably gotten in the last 6 or 7. And those are things that allow the street improvements to be made, fire truck improvements to be made. We also got funding for the city crime center. I know the chief would love up here and get to brag about the drones. Again, these are things that allow us to not necessarily increase police hiring to the level we want. It's using technology, and that's what the crime center does too. And that's what it's about, increasing the efficiencies of the city. So every reduction in employee doesn't mean a reduction in service. It just means we have an alternative way to deliver those services.
Chair recognizes the third ward.
Good evening, everyone. Comptroller, thank you again for explaining what receipts mean, because I hear that a lot. Receipts is one of the words we hear a lot in the meetings, we want receipts, we want receipts. And I don't think some people understand, in order to give out the money, you have to have a receipt. I'm going to explain the whole process, because you have to have a receipt in order to purchase, to do the purchase item. And that is what they look for in audits, am I correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, another thing I hear is transparency. That's another big word that's used around here. But I've never heard anyone talk about the transparency of what the businesses have not paid us in 10 years, and those businesses that haven't paid. Now, I'd be really appalled when I learned that even the funeral home isn't paid. Because we already know you can't bury people without that money. Not gonna do a loan, any of that. That's something that I hear a lot about. Maybe that's why I'm negative about it. Because I know it's been at least more than 10. And I know everybody's tired of me talking about the businesses not paying us. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm just one of them people who get mad about that.
Ain't nobody mad.
And so when we gather here and with solutions and targeting and transparency, I just would like to know when we all gonna get together with all of that energy and stand at some of these businesses, you know, with press conferences saying, hey, where's our money? Hey, Hope, you owe us X, Y, Z. We need that money because I could fix 155th Street. I could tear down the Raggedy House on 154th Pennsylvania. And by the way, there's a building, used to be the laundromat, washing machine there. It's collapsing right down on the and we don't have a dime to try to get that together. We don't have the money to even get that. It's like a mercy fund we have to get, but transparency. That's transparency. We don't have money for that, people, okay? That building's about to fall in. We have another incident, because, you know, we talk about how we, you know, picking on the churches. We ain't been giving them no sales taxes. They haven't been inspected in over years, because that was allowed. So now we get inspections, as they should, because they're gonna wanna use our fire truck when it cuts on fire. They're gonna use a lot of our services. You know, if it's mentioned, there was a church over there on 147 that almost collapsed over there. I think it was a hit and run accident, someone, not even it was an accident where a car hit the church whole foundation fell on the street where we had to block it off. And guess what? Who had to clean it up? You taxpayers, because we didn't have money, because the church didn't have insurance. Okay? So, let's be real transparent on telling what the people who got all of the money supposed to do with the money it's supposed to be for us. 10 years is a long time. If you were staying in my house and I was renting to you and you weren't paying my rent, I gotta get you out of there. You gotta go. But what's very troubling to me, that I don't understand why we as a city that's poverty-stricken and poor, why nobody that's up and above us. And you know, we got Buddy Palace friends and no people with the connections, that they can't get us our money. Because everybody come in and say we stealing. I'm not a thief. I'm one of the only persons that haven't since I've been here. I just put in a requisition, just. Didn't really want to put in one, because I want to see they don't have the money. But I thank God that he's able to give me what he has. Because I do provide. I have a lot of singers, I do a lot of projects. There's a lot of things I don't say that I do. not nobody's business.
It's always
But I
out.
do with my money, because everybody's worried about what I do with my money. A lot of times I donate, and I give, and I don't care if I don't ever give it back. Because you know what I look at? I believe in God, nothing else. One thing I do know, and I'm a witness to it,
I did too.
you reap what you sow in this lifetime.
You do.
And if I reap some good,
Amen.
I know God is gonna bless me in the end. Now, I know He take care of me now. 'Cause
Now,
he-
what you had
know,
no
it's a
business
harvest and a reaping of the
smacking
season.
Ryan
I'm gonna give what I can give until I can't give.
Girl, reap what you
Cause
sow.
I know I'm gonna get old
When it
one
go
day.
into court, you
And
will
I know
reap what you
somebody
sow.
gonna take care of it one day. Gonna bring this push to you one day. One thing I know, God
should shut the fuck
man,
up.
that's what y'all, I don't even go to church every Sunday. And I don't even go to Bible class.
Of course you don't.
I'm trying to find one of those, but I don't go to church every Sunday. But I know what God can do for me. I know what He gonna do for me. Cause I can see Him do for me.
Amen.
Now, I'm not looking for rewards from the people. I want you all to know that. I love all of our residents. I'm here for you all. We all are not gonna agree on things. But one thing I don't like is a cheat, a thief, and a liar.
The three
Those are
things.
three things I don't like. Tell the truth, shame the devil. And I tell any of them that know me, if I don't have that answer, I will leave it for you. Now, if I had my way, I'd be at these businesses, because if I had that, skill that I can gather people up and rally, if I had that skill, I would be spending from home, where my money, because look, these are all my bills. See my bills that's projected, I need to pay some of these. We need our money. And guess what? When it comes time to shut them down, I'm gonna take them same people to court. And I'm be showing the judge, I'm here. All of us and the residents out here, because they ain't paid us our money. And maybe the attorney's fees won't cost as much, because we have to go to court over and over and over again to get that money, and we still can't get it. And I don't understand why. I'm tired of the bad bills too. When I walk around and get my petition signed, I counted 300 and something, man. 300 and something. And guess what? It's not just the business owes money. If y'all look at it close and see what each one of those properties own, they owe money too.
So what?
We talking about the money.
Show us the money.
It's money all in this city,
Show us the
sitting
money.
right in the way.
What
There's
the-
money in the city that people have straight done gangstered us, literally gangstered us. And I've said many times in my meetings, and I say it all the time to my board meetings. These people live in order, they live in great, nice, you know, because you always, why we can't be like Tilly, why we can't be like Order, why we can't be like these people, why we can't have this and why we can't have that, we can't have it, because we sit around here fighting with each other instead of working together, trying to go get our money. Because these businesses have our money. If they don't wanna pay us, they don't
It
need
ain't all
to
gonna
business
be
here,
but-
period.
We,
When are you gonna stand up for that?
in 2027,
When you gonna stand up for that? I just wanna know when y'all gonna stand up for that.
we not. You can't even
If
answer.
I walk in any club, country club, if I belong to whatever I belong to, honor society, whatever it was I belong to, I would get my people together, as Moses said, and go to them and tell them, let my money go. Let my money go. That's what I do. So stop perpetrating the fraud, and let's do the business.
Who is perpetrating
Let's do the
fraud?
business that we're supposed to be doing here.
It's up there. Like, stop playing with us.
I'm not trying to do no stealing. The alderwoman position is enough for me.
That's fine.
It's a lot of work.
Somebody going to.
And guess what? I commend my mayor because he's doing a good job. Fighting for doing what he needs to do for our citizens. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it just like I don't do it, just like everybody else don't have to do it.
You see, I'm looking at that little shit section.
I hate the street department. It's one of the people that got laid off.
How long did she
They
get?
not learning to live.
Okay, this
This a budget discussion. Did she talk about?
A budget that's not even appropriated here. So why?
Y'all say the trees stand on the property. I tell my residents, we don't even have equipment to cut some
Why
of
are
this
you
stuff.
talking about this if we may have to?
I have a resident in my room. Say this good, can you see the contract? I put the tree. You know, I told him, they got the money, ain't no sense in doing the contract, you gonna quit. all these big trees they got around the garden.
We have to get out of here tonight.
And the mayor's right. We have to pay what takes precedent. You all have the same thing, you got a budget. You wanna buy that fancy car, but you know you can't buy that fancy car, because you know you ain't got the money for it. So why go above your means? Because we all know, I don't know, some people might not say, you gotta always save for a rainy day. And if we don't have the money to save for a rainy day, how you gonna do something in the rain? Like all the trees falling, and like my building over there, sitting over there about to fall on the ground, and we don't have money. So, can we get a GoFundMe fund going around here maybe and help with something? Because, you know, we do GoFundMes for a lot of other things. Can we do that to help our, okay? Thank you, have a great day.
I'm dead.
I'm beyond dead for her clapping like that. Like she
I would like to address one other issue, question, is how much you collected because of the mayor's initiative. The ordinance that was passed, it said basically if you want to operate hard, not pay your real estate tax, you have to pay hard on something. That amount was almost $600,000 last fiscal year, and it is on these financial statements here.
Can we
And I
see 'em?
realize that, again, it's not very easy when you're dealing with, I said, general fund budget of 30 million, but the total budget of about 55 million. It's not easy to understand if you're not familiar with municipal accounting.
Can you show
So I can
us?
assure you of this, that I have no reason to deceive
Who said
anyone
that?
about it, because, it's just,
Why y'all?
professionally and ethically it's wrong, but, I mean, I work for the city of Harvard. Believe me, there's funny games going on. My 12 years in Harvard, I've had the state's attorney up in Brooklyn, people from Cook County State's attorneys, I've had the federal government up in here, I've had the FBI up in here. If you think I would spend one day on the home confinement, covering up some dirt at Harvard, you have no idea, you don't know me. These 69 years that I lived, the worst is not gonna be confined, even to this old, covering up somebody else's dirt. Yes.
Mr. Williams, the line item you just referred, $600,000, where do we, see the proposal of the amount, the revenue collection?
You look at the count.
What page?
If you look on page 1, the account is settlement for real estate taxes, 010003421.
Could you give an understanding so roughly we collected $582,659
Right.
for the last fiscal year? How does that money support the $149 million deficit?
But it did, it helped us with the ongoing operations. Again, as I alluded to earlier, 75% of our budget is personnel related. One thing I can proudly say in the city of Harvey, no employee in 12 years, I've been in Harvey, has never missed a payday. Harvey has never been behind in payroll taxes. Health insurance has never been canceled. IMR paid, retention payments have been made on a timely basis. But other issues are about penalties of the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago water bill is one of the few things in Harvey other than the bond that it predates me. When I walked through the door of Harvey Code, the city of Chicago, $18 million in water. And we brought that down to 12. And I can assure you all the penalties we're working, trying to settle agreement with Chicago, where we would not be paying those penalties. Because we haven't forgiven once before.
Thank you. I have two things. One, I think there's a confusion between the operating budget and the capital budget. And then secondly, can you also explain, we are 52% of the collection of our real estate taxes. If we were at what every other municipality would receive, approximately 82%, where would our operating budget be, or where should it be to operate more?
Well, I'll tell you, if we were collecting our taxes at an 82% rate, might be actually been that long ago. I worked in Portland Township, I know what the real estate tax collection rates have been over the past 15, 20 years. It's less than 20 years ago when Harvey's real estate tax collection rate was at about 75%. And now our budget based on 50%, praise the Lord when we collect 52 over time, and I say 52 over time, because what happens is, if you don't pay your taxes in 21, you may get around to paying them in 23. And that's the only reason you get fluctuations on collections in the actual year of the taxes. So when you see over a 3-year period before people's properties get put in scavenger sale and the tax sale, they have a tendency to run into pay. But right now, we're budgeting $10 million for real estate taxes. If we were at 82%, so 100% would be about $20 million. So if we were at an 80% collection rate, we'd be collecting $16 million. Guess what? Add $16 million to my bottom line. I'm not gonna say we wouldn't spend some of it, but understand I had $6 million more work with. It'd be a lot easier down there in the finance office, because everybody gets 80, 90 days. That's just not Chicago, that's most municipalities. But I do business, done business in the city of Chicago, done business in the state of Illinois, all kind of municipalities in the Southland, the western suburb, some even Republican towns. The bills get 80, 60 to 90 days, that's the norm more than the exception.
So for the record, our budget is approximately 30 million. If we collect 80%, we should be somewhere around 50 million.
Exactly. That's dreamland. I'd love to get back to where we were less than 20 years ago in Harvard, at 75%.
Y'all not showing us the
But the mayor has certainly beat that drum enough. I personally know 2 large parcels in this town that probably owe the county in excess of $10 billion in taxes. Now, all that wouldn't come to Harvey, because we only get 40% of that, but 2 commercial locations, if they pay their taxes, $10 million currently, I'm not even talking about interest and penalty, that's what $4 million in the hopper. I can assure you, if I got $4 million rolling into our county electronically over the next year,
No, just one blame the businesses.
we
Apparently,
do
they're
a
not
lot
gonna
of
pay.
things. You see
How
that
they
shit
not
sweep
gonna
all over, and I'm the mayor inside the box, I'm not telling anybody how to spend their money, but you sure got a lot more flexibility if you got an extra $4 million. I don't know what the extra $4 million is, because you know, such thing as an extra $4 million or an extra $1 million. It just allows us to pay the vendors to occur, and allows, we got employees in this town that basically have received very limited raises.
You sound so.
Chair recognizes the board.
Just one quick question. I know we've been reading this drum, the same thing we're saying about taxes, everything. Now, first of all, for the public to know, we need to divide people that own businesses that are responsible for taxes, opposed to people that are just renting and being shut down because of the people that they're renting the house or the business from being affected and closing their business down. Okay, we need to get that. But in the beginning, this is a process, and this is a further, the state president, whatever issue, Cook County is in charge of collecting taxes, right? What are we doing to enforce them to do their job so we can get our fix? Why are we not going to the president or whatever it was? Why are they allowed to put us in this situation when we're counting on them to give us our money? Why are we not focusing on what the county should be doing?
Exactly, but that should be the question. That's what I'm saying.
One of the places that owes the taxes is, the mall on, not the mall, the shopping center there on 147.
48 today.
Let's go to what happens in a commercial lease. If you have a commercial lease, you pay base rent, okay? In addition, you have to pay a percentage of the operating cost. If it's a 10,000 square foot shopping center, you can rent 3,000 square feet, you pay 30% of the operating cost at mall. That's the scavenger pickup, the paving on the lot, the straightening up, striping on the lot. And the third part you pay is real estate taxes. That's how all commercial leases are designed. Mine is that way downtown. So you say, why are we taking this money, why are we going to the businesses? Because the businesses need forced on. I can assure you that those businesses that in those shopping centers are paying their real estate taxes, their third of the triple net lease to to those owners, but the owners aren't paying the taxes, so what do? We tell the people, you gotta pay us. And that's not because we want their money, our purpose is to put pressure, for them to put pressure on the owners to pay the real
Well, it
estate
ain't
taxes.
working.
Because I as a tenant, if I'm
working.
paying my portion of the
It's
real
not
estate
working.
taxes, but you might give that to the county, I got a problem with you, because, I mean, it doesn't stop us if there's a fire, or police service, or public works services that need to be performed, we perform it with the city, and again, what did I say? There was no other eight-figure number on this budget beyond real estate tax. It makes a big difference if that number is 10 million versus 12 million versus 14 million. A whole lot more folks would get paid if I had the extra $2 million, much less the extra $4 million sitting in Harvey's account. So it's the tenant's obligation of a commercial lease to go to the owner and say, I'm paying you my part of the real estate taxes. Why aren't you paying the county?
So what is the county gonna do to come in this situation? Since they already know there's a situation, what are they doing when they already see there is some commercial property that should be, so what are they doing? And why we not having a meeting with them?
Yes, the question probably best directed to Tony Kirkwood, not be in the mayor, but best if you want to. That's the question. Why is the county doing something directly to Tony Kirkwood? And our elected commissioners.
Chair recognizes the third ward.
Oh, my God.
I'd like to ask that, Mr. Williams, those stores also have 5-year leases, most of them, am I correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay, most of them usually went to commercial realm, because when you own a business, when it's time to get loans and things like that, they want to see your establishment, how you're able to collect money to see if you even qualify for loans and things of that nature. And like you said, each square foot is not like paying a regular rent, you know, your $1,000 mortgage. You're paying a lot, like double thousands, 10,000 at least. When you look at these strip malls, that you look at, they're getting about at least 70,000 a month. Why you can't pay us our money? So, they are, because they're in a 5-year lease, they're stuck there. When you have business, you just can't, if I've been in this business for so many years, I've established how good my business is. I can't just up and pop and run to somewhere else. Because location is key for businesses. So if you want to stay in the business area, it's not my fault you have a slumlord, because maybe you can go to court, because you do have a lease with them, and you can sue them for the money that the city of Harvey is making you give to us. Because we can't get it from you. We need our money. Bottom line, we need our money.
Chair recognizes, Chair recognizes the second ward. We don't wrap. Please.
How many businesses are paying into the celebration? I think it was 76, God bless you, that was reported or so that were not able to operate according to 05-10216. That's our municipal code that says you cannot operate here if you owe back property taxes. So how many businesses are currently paying into that settlement agreement with the projected valuation of $500 million?
Wish I could answer that off the top of my head. That's one thing we would
And so to that end, that would be a great number to understand, because my big question is, let's just say a third of those businesses are paying the settlement agreement, maybe about 30 or so. What's going on with the other 40? And then on top of the 40 who are not paying anything into the property tax base, what are we doing about them beyond litigation? That is costing the taxpayers. We're projected at $750,000 for the budget in 2026 towards litigation and legal services. So I'm trying to figure out the math. As much as we collect them, we're spending out just on litigation. Additional to the commercial properties, we have over 5,000, I think it was reported, abandoned properties. What are we doing as far as fines and fees for those folks who own those properties to ensure that they're paying their fair wage? We almost need another agreement in place for property owners who have left. We need to target every single bank, obligated bank for one, because they own a number of things in the city of Harvey, along with Harvey Real Estate, I believe it is. It's been a long time owning here in the city with 30, 40 plus properties. My question, what are we doing to hold those folks accountable? Now, because we have a strong fine and fee. Hold on one second.
Hold on, Ms. Williams.
Oh, but she has no house in fact, that's right.
No, let me go ahead and finish.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, as stern and as hardened as we are on the commercial businesses, as we should be. If you're not paying your taxes according to the law that we created and all voted on here, you shouldn't be operating here, period. But since you are, we're earning that revenue through that, but that's still not a good business practice, because guess what, those people are not paying their property taxes, they're just paying us. So we're gonna always sit at a deficit, because we're still supporting even a third of the 70 plus that have been notated that are not paying property taxes. The other piece of that, since we're discussing property tax expenditures and fiscal spending as a whole, I would think that the fines and fees, we should have everyone lined up outside of here on Fridays that own every single dilapidated property. The property next door to me has been vacant for 22 years. Owned by a gentleman by the name of Derek Charles. From way back, and every time it gets right to the point to pay those property taxes, she or someone does. And so, I'm just thinking, that is a whole funding base that I think we're really missing. For if 1 in every 4 homes on the block are abandoned, and specifically across the second ward, I mean, we have entire blocks that are abandoned. Lexington, Turlington, and Loomis from 152nd to 171st, north and south, really is a mainstay. So I'm trying to figure out what are we doing to go after homeowners? And is there a projected valuation in the budget in 2026 on how much we'll collect in fines and fees from them?
All right, next question, the mayor, I'll answer later. Sure, recognize the third board. We gotta wrap this up, y'all, you know, we got another meeting, we gotta go to the
So when
We
it
still
comes,
got public comment.
just to let you guys know, with real estate, property, personal property, as I explain to my residents all the time, they always say, oh, the house has been here next to me 20 years. But if no one has claimed that property, family members or some of whatever sort, you still have to go through a whole lot of hassle to get that property. Now, if someone did pay at the last minute, some people don't know, there are investors out here who buy property for taxes in hopes of getting that money back as an investment, and might not actually be the owner who purchased those taxes.
They still own it.
So the property is a whole big thing. Some of the people are deceased, you have to find them. That's a big whole by itself. And that costs money as well, the money that the city does not have. But maybe if those businesses pay, we can probably use, that Peter money to make Paul pay us the other part.
Just here.
That being said, we'll go on to, first of all, thank you for the discussion.
No.
We got to have more discussion on this matter as we move along. So we are now moving to comment. It's encouraged and appreciated. This is the only opportunity for the public to address the city council on agenda items and other city-related business. In order to accomplish our business on the agenda and be respectful of everyone's time, council members will not engage in dialogue, I'm hoping, with individual members of the audience, and no immediate action will be taken on any public comment issue. When your name is called, proceed to the podium and state your name. Please limit your comments to 3 months. 3 minutes.
They said 3 months.
Ooh-wee.
Right. We got 3 months, I'm sorry.
No speaking, no
Try not to let that fall.
Comments shall be courteous and respectful. Please, comments shall be courteous and respectful at all times. No person may use public comment for the purpose of campaigning or advertisement. This is not a question and answer time. The council may not engage in conversation with the public. Questions and concerns about operations should be addressed with city staff during regular business hours. First up, for public comment is Ryan Welski, followed by Jacqueline Wilson.
I just have, I guess, the typical financial questions, like when will all the receipts, the bank account statements, and invoices and bids be published online? That is, if you look up the Better Government Association, or if you go to the Watchdog Bureau, that is standard practice. We've had Ms. James Watson, you share from Evanston, their whole packet, the whole packet, so all residents, everyone knows exactly what's going to be discussed before every meeting, so that should be posted at least a few business days before every meeting. It's not hard to do, and if, as Mayor Clark says, everything is above board, then just show us, that's all we're asking. I also am going to make another suggestion that I made at the township meeting last time, and there's a whole bunch of different softwares that you could buy that will put all expenses and income for in real time online for public transparency. So ideally, we should never, ever, ever have to come up here again for public comment or any time to say, Mr. Mayor, where's the money? You can easily just, with the software, and I'm sure the treasurer knows of a few of them and comptroller, but like I said, it's all online. So you can log in, you can see the money as it comes in and as it goes out. So I want the public to know that as well. So there really is no excuse for not showing us where the money's going. As well as what I said to the township, I want to call for a forensic audit. We can't afford not to know where the money is. A forensic audit is a way, is a much more thorough audit than the audits that we're behind on, because we're already behind on audits with the state. So we, like I said, we can't afford not to know where the money is. The problem with the different comments that I hear from the mayor, Ms. Smith, some of the other folks, is that when it's saying about, well, we need this about this money, we need this, we don't know. We don't know where the money is. So we can't hardly in the hole, but by how much? And the money we do have, where's it go? Well, we don't know. We don't know because it's just not being made clear. So I think we need a forensic audit. I would say open all city books immediately to the treasurer, stop locking her out because she is our elected representative. Also, Alderwoman Chapman mentioned this, but the 4 Alder yes men who always vote with Clark, they always get their expenses paid back, including Alderwoman Smith, because I avoided those. But the ones who ask critical questions don't. I mean, again, that's more of the transparency issue. So you say we don't have money, but then Durinsky, Smith, others, they get paid. Release, I've said that already. And the last thing, create a transparent process to sell and restore our old buildings. Give priority to local residents and businesses, because all those empty buildings, as the Alderwoman stated, if we got those back in the tax rolls, that would do much more than just generally increasing our tax collection rate.
Now, we gonna get this straight right now. Okay? We are not gonna talk while other folks is talking. And y'all say whatever the heck y'all wanna say about that. This happened at the last meeting, and now it seems to be happening at this meeting. It doesn't make any difference if it's the Alderman yes men or anybody else for that matter. Be respectful of people when they are talking. People are gonna say things that you may or may not wanna hear. If you can't take it, the door is right there. You don't have to listen to it if you feel that passionate about it. But we're going to be respectful of each other. And then back and forth, and just for the Alderman specifically, it says that this is not a question and answer time. The council cannot engage in conversation with the public. So please, follow that rule. Thank you. Next up is Jacqueline Wilson, followed by Jedediah Brown.
Hello, Mayor Catalog, I want to thank you.
I think it's the device is recording. Yeah. You have to go to that booth right there to record. Any kind of musician or that.
Everybody, sometimes, all right.
Okay, Mayor Christopher Clark, I want to thank you. I truly do, because you have truly tried very hard to improve Harvey. I do not understand how us, as we continue to realize what is going on out here in Harvey, why do we want to continue to comply? A lot of people started off with
But I can't
But a lot
pass
of
it.
people
Okay.
decided to
You
go
won't
on
let me
their
have
own
it.
because they did
It
not
has to
think
be
that
back
you
here.
did not do what they
Just
required you to
because
do.
it's a recording
But I know
device.
that you are a good man and you try very hard, out here hard to do your best. I have came to the meeting, I come to the Alderman meeting, I come to the council hall meeting, I have started, I have business. Yes, I am nervous, because I just want to figure out, how can you explain that when a person tries so hard to do something, somebody's always trying to knock them down? So, I wanna let you know that I appreciate you. I appreciate our aldermen, I appreciate you, Keys, because you do come through all the time. I appreciate our council people as well. I appreciate you of the third ward. I want us as a whole to continue to improve hard. I've been here almost 30 years, and I see all the improvement. You all talk about money, 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 money. Look at the improvement. Look at the improvement. You know, if you want to continue to let Harvey be a place where you live, look at the improvement. Hell, I live on 150. I love my house. I continue to improve my home. So I want the city to continue to be improved too. I know that maybe I'm tired of something and I stutter, but that's okay, but I let you know, Mayor Clark, please continue to run for Mayor Hart because you are doing a very good job. And our aldermen, let's work together. I sit here and I'm listening to y'all. Y'all got good ideas. Let God do. God provides all the time. Whichever way the money is going, don't worry about it. If they are stealing money, God knows, and it will come out. People do go to jail for that. Remember that. Our mayor
Not right away.
is stealing our money, y'all. He's trying to improve our city, and I see it. Drive around and look. You'll see it too. Just drive around and look. I'm from the fourth ward, and I'm going to continue to help Brittany, to help you kids to improve the fourth ward and any other ward. I drive around. I see that something needs to be done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, Jeff Brown.
I just wanna be honest, as I was sitting there, this is my first time making this finance portion to the comptroller. Thank you so much for delivering the information. I just really encourage you because of the cloud that's trying to be cast, that you be extremely clear, because I got confused at certain parts. I do understand it's just discussion, but even some of the things you said, the numbers once it was 75%, then it was 80%. I think that clarity is paramount when you're delivering up here because of things that's going on that people really want to understand and help. And it also can help with the cloud of doubt that's trying to be cast over the administration. Outside of that, Mr. Keys, since I've come into the city, I've seen nothing but great hospitality from you, trying to be a person who's working across the aisle. I really enjoyed your leadership at that anti-violence meeting, and I'm also concerned about some of the things that I heard, which I'm going to ask questions about. But I do want to say this to you: this city needs to literally recognize. As a matter of fact, before I came here, I just left a meeting with all of the Democrat leaders in one place, talking about how safe our city is and how things are getting better in our state is. And from our perspective, it doesn't always look or feel like that. And I just wondered why they didn't do a press conference on the south side of Chicago like Harvey, because it would show their film. And so with that being said, Mr. Keys, as a resident of Illinois, I'm gonna, if it's okay with the city, I don't know how this goes, but I wanna donate $100 every meeting that I come to, up to $10,000 to the award, and I'm hoping that the residents here will follow suit, because talk is cheap and the work is expensive. And a lot of people just wanna complain, a lot of people have agendas, and it's unfortunate, because if Harvey literally banded together, it will put a highlight on the Democratic Party that's filling the entire Southland. I don't want to run from one south suburb to another. I left Dalton, I didn't want to come here, then what's next? But if we all start seeing the bigger picture and put our aspirations aside, because I'm not come to a lot of meetings, but it's not hard to hear what's going on. is not here to understand why a document is not put on the internet yet, because we're working through it. It's not hard to hear that people are saying, how do we manage the budget when we don't have money? How can we get things done if we don't, but you know what I do recognize?
That he a
That
liar.
you should not judge a man by his words, but by their actions. And I don't see a whole lot of people putting a whole lot of action to their words, so I'm gonna say to you, you said if you had gathering power to lend, I do. And if you want to go in your ward and you want to go visit the businesses that are not paying into the tax base here, I want to go with you, and I want to find individuals. And as a matter of fact, I say that to all the older people, but I want to be clear here. The mayor can only do so much. If all the people came together and organized your voice, imagine what Harvey would be.
Yeah, I'll make it quick, because I know we got to go into the meeting. So,
Agenda for the other meeting, she said she was gonna switch it out.
first, I'm gonna read 65 ICS. This is specifically the powers of council. Powers of council shall be purely legislative. Powers of council shall be purely legislative, except as may be otherwise specifically provided by any other act or by any article of this code. I say that because when we start talking about the things that we do for the residents, I have a unique seat because I sat as an alderman, and I'm also sitting as a mayor. And when I was an alderman, some in the audience can attest, I first gave money away. But it wasn't because I was an alderman person. It was just because I was trying to be a good citizen and a good neighbor. Prior to becoming alderman, I had my full-time law practice, and I put a portion of that money to the side to try to help other people. Some of you may remember when the law office set up a website so that we could pay people's water bills for them. All you had to do was register, and we would move to try to pay your water bill. I didn't submit any receipts or anything like that. It's not to say that anybody else should, but the bottom line is, the money that was spent, I did primarily because I was just trying to be a good neighbor. You know,
Not everybody got to be a good neighbor.
we're accepted. We had a discussion the other day, I have 2 chainsaws. And when we had that first year ago, back in, was it 2020? I was out there with one of my chainsaws, just cutting away. Not because I was looking for anybody to pay me for my time or energy, it's just what we were supposed to do. Because, you know, I've said it before, even that, and we do really act like it. We're family. Okay? And so, that's what happens. But, as far as the alderpersons are concerned, it's the city council. And some of you already know, the powers of the council shall be purely legislative. So when you decide that you want to go out and you want to do all these extra things, don't do all these extra things with the expectation that something's going to happen or that you're supposed to get something back as a result of it. Now, once again, if and when we can afford to do so,
If and when.
Based on our financial position, we will.
If and when.
So that's one. 2 is we continue to go over this while we spend $20,000 on the 4th of July. I don't know how many times I got to say that we donated over and over and over again.
Show us.
When we have these extracurricular activities, we seek donations so that we can do what we want to do. So that we can provide those things for our citizens. And our citizenry, in my opinion, have a need, have a right and a desire to participate in some of those events. Now, y'all know doggone well that if I was to turn around today and say, you know what, all of
Let
these
yours
events,
charge first.
they won't be the next, that's when the public, what do we call it, social media, he's a Grinch, he hates Christmas. You know what I'm saying? He hates Thanksgiving. And I can explain that we're not doing it because we don't have the financial capacity to do so. But if I were to turn around and cancel all of those events right now, that would be the very first thing that we would hear. And so it's a catch-22 situation.
It sure is.
Because you want us to do it, but when we don't do it, then you upset we don't do it. Then if we don't do it, then you want us to do it again. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, as far as the Cook County taxes, the Cook County collecting our taxes, I really wish they would. And, you know, and so wait, let's go back. So we can figure out how this works. Because what is happening here is sometimes people think they belong in one space when they're actually supposed to be in another space. So, the powers of the council shall be purely legislative except as otherwise specifically provided by any other act or by article of this code. Okay? But when you go to the mayor, it says the power and duties of the mayor shall be to enforce the laws and ordinances within the municipality, to appoint and remove his administrative assistants, budgets and finance director, heads of all departments, and to appoint and remove all other officers of the municipality, commissions, boards, and agencies, except those covered by the Civil Service Act, municipalities which have adopted said act. We have a civil service board, and we have adopted that act. And except as provided in section 64-14. So, also to exercise control of all departments and divisions thereof created in this article, or that may be created by council. And when you go look at our council, our municipal code, our municipal code says the same thing. It doesn't say that all of them get to determine what the workload does. It doesn't, remember, it goes back. What is that work? It's purely what? Legislative, gotcha. To attend all meetings of the council with the right to take part in the discussions, but with no right to vote, except as authorized in 64-5, it's in the event of time. To recommend to the council for adoption such measures as he may deem necessary or expedient to perform such other duties as may be prescribed by this Article 6 or may be required of him by ordinance. So as you see, the mayor's position has many more responsibilities than the automatic position. And at least from what I understood, when those people ran for alderman, I would have thought that the first thing they would have tried to figure out is, what are they actually supposed to do? But when you're trying to act like you're the mayor, and you want to be places that you're not supposed to be, we've talked to the council. We've talked to Cook County on several occasions. We're having those conversations. We've had those conversations. Tax bills are currently late. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to make it to our next quarter when the tax bills are currently late and we don't have a cushion. We don't have a cushion. And all of this stuff happens as a result of, yes, elections, but it also happens as a result of when you were supposed to be speaking out, you were silent, like a church mouse. And so while all the money was getting taken away, and while the feds were coming in and raiding the police department, and 6 people got arrested, and while the police department was providing security for drug dealers and pimps, okay, nobody had anything to say. The money was going away, and it was going away in front of our faces. The city of Chicago sued us in 2014. Ms. Donahue was there. I don't know where she is now. Ms. Jackie went other folks went downtown. Miss Randall, God bless her soul, went. And went downtown because they wanted to find out what was going on with our money, because we knew for sure at that time that the money was being misappropriated. We had proof at that time that the money was being misappropriated.
Because y'all had budgets.
And the vast majority of people didn't have nothing to say. Now I get it. I'm a rebound chick.
Absolutely.
I'm the one who you want to get with after you broke up with the one you was with before, not understanding how just good you got it. I get it. I know how that works. Wish I be a rebound guy. Yeah. You want me to be a rebound guy. But the bottom line is, we have been digging our way out of a hole that we were not responsible for. We have been trying to clean up, and we all went through it. We was kids, and it was my turn to do dishes. But I always, whenever it came time for me to do dishes, I said, well, I didn't put this glass in here. I didn't put this bowl in there. Everybody's gonna blame somebody in the house for why the house is falling. And then your mom turned around and said, I don't care who put the glass in the sink. I don't care who put the bowl in the sink. It's your turn to do dishes. And when it's your brother's turn, it's your brother's turn. Now, there's a lesson to be learned here. Because if I don't want my brothers to put all this stuff in the sink, then when it's their turn to do dishes, maybe I need to be considerate and not put all this stuff in their sink. That's us working together. That's the reason why I said a couple of months, I think it's a couple of months now, I'm not doing all that fighting. I'm not doing all that castigating. Believe you me, I got a lot of them locked and loaded, but I'm not doing it. Because it doesn't move us forward as a city. Now let me tell you what I heard. I heard, well, can I get my money that I'm supposed to be getting as alderman? And I respect that. Okay. I heard about, well, we need to be going out and we need to be talking to these businesses and finding out why they ain't giving us our money. And then I saw the looks on some of those who were dissatisfied, and I am really trying to convince you that you are going to get these copies, okay? Because we have to follow a process. I already know that some of our aldermen are not going to follow the process. They're going to release the information anyway, okay, because they don't quite understand the word transparency. But out of all the stuff that's in here, we ain't talking about how we're going to keep the employees employed. We're not talking about how we're going to make it from payroll to payroll every 2 weeks.
Because you're not showing us the budget.
Because that's what I'm seeing in here.
We don't see it.
We look at the red line and we say to ourselves, well, what's the problem? He already explained that. Even though I know somebody's going to go off and I'm going to change straight up and lie and say it's something else. He already said, if we didn't have the issues of the pension debt, we would actually have a surplus. But when I remind you that that pension debt wasn't paid by the previous administration,
We know that.
oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Because all of a sudden you just lose it. Because you don't want to be talking about the previous administration. That's who screwed you over.
No, that's what we should talk.
Bottom line,
Previous.
that's who screwed you over.
No, that's what
And
you're.
you talk about receipts, we got the receipts. Because they went to jail. You know, almost 15 people over the past 16 or 20 years have been either convicted and or went to jail under that previous administration for some nefarious activity. But then the lawyer come before you and you want to try to discredit him to make it seem like he doing something that he ain't never did a day in his life. And then you try to get other people on board to get those people to co-sign the lies that you have signed on to. We got to stop it. I just stop nobody up here to talk. Everybody took their time. That's the reason why we here now. When you had your question, Mr. Clark, when you had your question, and I think that's a really good question. And that's a question that's going to be addressed. Because it's important. And if I'm going to demonstrate how we're supposed to work together, I got to lead with it. But damn, can y'all meet me halfway? Because we're not doing anything but trying to figure out how to better this city. And every single time, you don't come with some suggestions or solutions, you just come with complaints. And unfortunately, and fortunately, I'm going to say it out loud, this is really going to drive the internet crazy. We got a young man sitting over here that don't even live here, but has done more fighting from a financial standpoint than the president's had. You want to send somebody else on your pensions. Have somebody else run your office. You're supposed to be out there with them. Or if you ain't out there with them because you don't like them, then get out there by yourself. Because there's a lot of things in this budget than the things that I just heard. And the things you were talking about, I'm just going to say, they didn't have as much weight as far as what this budget is really about. Now we're going to get a do-over. We're going to get an opportunity to do it over and talk about it again. And I will make sure, once again, these are things that I'm promising you. So if I don't deliver on it, you're definitely more than welcome to hold me accountable. Make sure, okay, that everybody who wants a copy of the budget, when it's posted, has the ability to get that copy. Okay? Any and everybody. But we are working with the county, we're doing everything we possibly can to try to get our taxes collected. But the county looks at us and asks us, what do you do? So we gotta do something too. And we have the power to do something. If you're gonna ask about the county, see, you can go down to the county and you can tell Tony Franklin how horrible of a mayor I am and how I violate your rights. What do you go down there and ask Tony Franklin where our money at? Ask him where the money is. You can go down there and talk about me in an entity, in an organization that does not have jurisdiction over me. You understand that? You're going to talk to people about this city, specifically about me, and they don't even have jurisdiction over me. Because you want to go down there and talk about the things that they have jurisdiction over. Like, why don't they collect our proper amount of taxes? And when they don't collect them, why don't they use more of the courts and force to try to get those businesses? And if you want, who is the one that's willing, because I want to know who it is. Who is the one that's willing to put the foot on the neck of the residents of this city when they've been paying the taxes for the past 20 years that the businesses ain't been paying? I want to see some hands. If you feel that way, because I'll tell you, this council didn't raise the taxes because we understand how much you pay. So we didn't increase the taxes. This council is not going to do that. We only do the things that we are mandated to do. If Chicago water goes up on their water, we have to pass it on to you. Keep my name out your mouth, because I'm not doing that. That is the city of Chicago sending that bill. And we have to do what we have to do. If the courts say that we got to pay the pension funds, and
comptroller, every time we get a dime, the state comptroller takes our money. And I want you to understand how this goes. If we get $1 million in a grant, because I've said this over and over again, but I'm starting to think that there were some buses that some of y'all should have been on that we didn't know about. Because I'm saying it over and over again. If we get $1 million in a grant, praise God. It's wonderful. We got $1 million.
Show us.
And we can take that $1 million and do whatever the $1 million grant T said we're supposed to do.
That's common knowledge.
But when we get that $1 million grant, how much is the Illinois State Comptroller going to take from that $1 million? $350,000.
That's a penalty.
Just got $1 million.
It's a penalty.
And the state comptroller is going to take $350,000 from us. Wait. Who's responsible for coming up with that extra $350,000?
General fund,
From when?
general tax revenue, general revenue,
What's your
Which city? Let me make sure.
city of March.
The city of Harvey, where? In what state? In the state of Illinois.
Okay, y'all have a garnishment. It happens in America.
We don't have no money to run with it this time. They stole it all, y'all.
They didn't steal it.
And the sooner you come to the realization of that, the better off I think we will be. I'm not going to attack any of y'all,
Good.
because y'all didn't do anything. But I will attack the mofos that stole our money and did what they weren't supposed to do. And that's why we struggle. And the sad part is some of y'all still got loyalty to that bunch. When they were stealing your money. There's a software to tell you what the finances are in each city. It's called GovUSA, isn't that what it is? Because we looked at it. It cost us $150,000 to do GovUSA. Am I right? OpenGov, that's what it is, OpenGov. Look it up, people. OpenGov. But it costs us more than $150,000 to have it. So I tell you what, y'all got five on it? Because the simple fact is, we can't pay for it. And because we cannot pay for it, we don't have it. That is something I brought up in the very first administration. And we can't pay for it. So what's the point of trying to buy it if we can't pay for it? Stop trying to compare us to other communities. The other communities got money. When I talked to you about the other day, T, Orland get like 125 million in sales taxes per year. We can't compete with $125 million in sales taxes, but you want us to be like Orland.
No, we want
You want champagne
transparency.
on a beer budget.
We want transparency.
Let's grow up, man. And let's stop working together. And then we can get something done. We can stop pointing fingers, and we can actually see some real progress in this city. Because the city is moving forward. With all the challenges, the city is still moving forward. With all of the naysayers, the city is still moving forward. And for all of the haters, I love the hate because it means that we must be doing stuff right. So, on that note, the chair intends to adjourn. First by a motion by the sixth, second by the third. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none. We stand adjourned at 8:05. We will reconvene at 8:15.